Thanks for joining us today. This workshop is intended to help you confidently make the switch to electronic reporting. Today we'll be talking through some of the key elements of electronic catch and position reporting, including what your requirements are, how to report, technology and cost options, data security, compliance, how we can help, and we'll endeavour to answer your questions. We know that the switch from paper to electronic catch and position reporting is a big deal. There's a lot to get your head around, like choosing the technology you need and getting to grips with how it works, as well as how it changes the way you work. Today is about getting you prepared and feeling ready for those changes, but it's also worth recapping why we're asking you to do this. There are three main things electronic reporting helps with. Errors are reduced, and those that do occur are easier to correct. We get more accurate information more quickly. Gathering more and better quality information and reducing the effort to do that. This allows us to make better fisheries management decisions, and we all want the same thing there: sustainable fisheries now and into the future. In terms of errors, paper reporting leads to quite a few. As many as 17% of paper catch reporting forms have errors. That's basically 1 out of every 6 forms. These errors often include things like the wrong year, vessel name, client number, and invalid fish stock codes, and they all need to be fixed. An electronic device for reporting catch can help by automating information about you and letting you select consistent options from menus when reporting on things like fish stocks. We know that error rates for daily electronic reporting are much lower, coming in at about 4%, and generally these errors are much easier to correct. You can do it directly online with FishServe rather than the current system that sees your forms posted backwards and forwards for correction through the post, which can take weeks or even months. Your catch reporting technology will let you know almost immediately if our system detects an error, and we're going to cover all of that off in a bit more detail in a while. With position reporting, all the information is sent automatically, so all you need to do is turn the device on at the start of a trip and make sure it's working, and then off again at the end. Nothing else is required in between, so it's less of a problem from an errors point of view. Electronic reporting also means information can be sent with the push of a button, so the delays we see with paper reporting, which can take up to 3 or 4 months before it's all confirmed and locked in, can be radically reduced. We've adjusted the required timeframes for reporting to take advantage of this, but it's important to remember that if you make a mistake in your reporting, you have up to 15 days to correct it, and that's much easier to do online rather than by post. But remember too that you have always been required to record your catch daily. What's different is that you will now have to send in that information daily as well. So of course, this means you have no option but to fill it in as you go, that is, while you're out fishing. And honestly, this isn't nearly as big a deal as it sounds. Just last week, we were talking to a fisher who has been trialling one of the technology products. He hated it at first, but after a couple of improvements made by the tech provider, he can't rave about it enough. He found that it was faster and easier, and there are loads of clever ways you can manage the technology's presence on your vessel to make it easy to report in real time. Electronic technology also means that it's much easier to get good information. It's easier to report more accurately, and there's more of it. While the core of what we're asking for with electronic reporting isn't different from what's on the paper forms, there's an opportunity to gather more detail without it making more effort. Experience from elsewhere has shown that electronic reporting does improve reporting behaviour as well. For example, electronic position reporting can give us more accurate information on where the fishing is happening. Likewise, electronic catch reporting can give more detail about what's being caught in terms of the range of species generally and for things like protected species. When it comes to decisions about sustainable ranges and in-season increases, this information could be useful for some of the stocks that haven't been scientifically evaluated. There are over 200 of these, and they account for nearly 30% of New Zealand's total catch. So it is important that we are able to assess them. Another important point to make is that we're not talking about information from individuals being more useful, but that extra information across a whole fishery can be useful for fisheries management in time. All of this should lead to real day-to-day benefits for us as well as you. Such as reporting itself takes less time and effort, you spend less time fixing errors, And there's an opportunity to benefit from the intelligence that technology providers might build into their systems. And as for the benefits for us, having better quality and timelier catch and position information is useful for two main reasons. We'll get a much clearer picture of what's happening in our fisheries, so we can make better and more informed decisions about how to manage them. And we can be more focused and responsive in our compliance efforts, so that we're working with fishers who need to be working with and not with those we don't. We do recognise that it will likely take a bit of time to learn how to use your new technology and get used to a different way of working. So now we're going to spend time on how you actually report electronically. In this section, we'll talk about the reporting process in terms of what to do to get ready to report, the types of event reports and what they contain, the onboard reporting processes, and also what to do after you've landed your catch, because we recognise that the move to electronic reporting means that there will also be changes in the way you carry out follow-up work, such as updating landing reports with LFR information. What happens if your reporting devices stop working is another important topic that we'll cover in more detail shortly. We'll be referring to a few leaflets and guides that give more detail about the things we'll talk about now, and we understand that there's a lot of information here. These leaflets and guides are all available on our website. Try not to be too overwhelmed by it, and remember that once you've been reporting electronically for a while, you probably won't need to refer to the guides very often, if at all. The rollout of electronic catch and position reporting for all remaining fishers is happening in 8 stages throughout 2019, and you will have had letters from us by now informing you which stage you're in. It's important to understand what we mean by can report and must report. We have the option to start reporting electronically from the can report date because the system will be set up to accept your electronic reports from then. But you actually have until the must report date by law to start. We're doing it this way so that you can choose the best time for you within that date range to start reporting electronically. New permit holders need to note this. In the FishServe system, you'll see yourselves as being in stage 9. In fact, you must start reporting electronically straight away. The term stage 9 is just for the convenience of FishServe's system and doesn't relate to the table shown here. You are also going to have quite a lot to do with FishServe, both in preparation for electronic reporting and once you're up and running. So this is a good time to tell you a bit more about what you need to do in the preparation phase. All of the information is taken from this leaflet, which you'll get later. Just before we get to that though, do note that you might be able to set up an opportunity to test equipment with providers and FishServe. And there's something really important to explain about making the switch from paper to electronic reporting. Don't be put off by this diagram. It really is just here to show you that if you start a trip reporting on paper, you'll finish reporting that trip on paper, even if your LFR invoice comes through once you're supposed to be reporting electronically. You'll still update your paper return in this case. In this example, a Stage 5 fisher has a can report date of the 1st of August and a must report date of 1 September. They can keep reporting on paper up until the 1st of September, so they go out on a 5-day trip on the 28th of August, and they started that trip on paper. They return to port on the 2nd of September after their must report date. In this instance, they will finish that trip on paper and they must start reporting electronically on their next trip. There won't ever be a situation where you do part of your trip reporting on paper and part of it electronically. So, going back to the support you will get from FishServe, they will be in touch in the months and weeks before your can report date to guide you through the process of updating your details and to make sure you're familiar with what's new in FishServe's online services portal on their website. You might hear people refer to this portal as Coupe sometimes. Your GPR device must be registered with them and you have to provide details of your e-logbook too. But apart from registering GPR devices, FishServe doesn't have any involvement in any other part of the position reporting process. GPR data comes directly to MPI from your tech provider. It is really important to point out that you must have all of the right people authorised with FishServe, such as your wife if she does your landing report updates, or your son if he skippers for you sometimes. Anyone basically who is involved in the reporting of your fishing activities. The screen behind me shows what you'll see when you log into FishServe's portal. Even if you've never logged in before, there's a good chance you're already set up to use FishServe online services, and you just need to give them a call to find out how to use it. If you are a company or a trust, or you need to set up other people to report on your behalf, the process is explained in this leaflet. You'll see on the right-hand side of the screen, FishServe have created a special section highlighting your readiness for electronic catch and position reporting. Later on, we'll talk about other important tasks you'll need to do online through FishServe's website, such as amending your landing reports with LFR details. But first, as an overview to the actual reporting process, we've put together a short video that briefly explains the reporting process from start to finish. This video is available for you to watch again anytime on the Fisheries New Zealand website. After we've watched it, we'll talk about the contents in more detail.
Electronic catch and geospatial position reporting. What's changing for fishers? The expansion of a new electronic catch and position reporting system to cover all of New Zealand's commercial fishers will see a number of changes to what, when and how reporting is done. One of the key changes is that instead of using paper forms, you'll provide the information electronically. This information will be organised in a different way and will be reported in near real time. There will also be some changes to the information you're asked to report. The aim is to make reporting as easy as possible. All reporting will now be event-based. Each of the separate fishing events you might carry out will have its own distinct report, beginning with a trip start report, which you complete when you depart. There'll be a fish catch report. In most cases, you'll need to estimate the top 8 species, whether quota management system or non-quota management system. A capture of non-fish or protected species report. A processing report, which will only be required by factory vessels. A disposal report will be used to record all fish used or returned to the sea or put into or taken from holding pots at sea. The landing report is similar to what you provide now. First, you'll submit a detailed inventory of your catch when you land, and then you'll update the report once you have the confirmed green weights from your licensed fish receiver. A trip end report is completed when your fishing trip ends, such as arrival back to port. There will be 3 simple steps to reporting. You'll have to record or fill in the details. Complete, which means to confirm the recorded information, and provide, which means to send or transmit the information for each event separately. The timings for recording, completing and providing your reports are set in the regulations, which you'll find in our digital monitoring web pages. It's important you're familiar with what you need to record, complete and provide and when. To help with this, we've developed a handy day in the life tool to guide you through your reporting requirements for each event. You'll find this day in the life guide on our website. With the introduction of electronic catch reporting, you will record, complete and provide all your event data on a portable device like a tablet, iPad, laptop or PC, or some kind of ruggedized e-logbook. Your position reports will be sent automatically. We're working with technology providers so they can develop the right devices and software for you. Whichever device you choose, it must include a software program that has been specifically designed for the new reporting system. You can then work with technology providers to find the right devices and software to suit your type of fishing method, vessel or conditions you operate in. Each technology provider is likely to have a different screen layout and way of prompting you for the information required. We've developed a checklist of key things you should consider when choosing technology, which you'll find on our website. Along with an electronic catch reporting device, every commercial vessel will be required to have a working geospatial position reporting device on board. You may be able to use a GPR device already on your vessel, or it may be integrated with your electronic catch reporting device. If you don't have a GPR device or it's not compatible with your e-logbook, you'll need to buy a GPR device. If you're a land-based fisher, you must also carry a GPR device. Before starting electronic catch and position reporting, you'll also be given information about what to do if you're unable to complete or provide event or position reports due to an accident, mechanical or technical failure. For further information, visit fisheries.govt.nz/e-reporting or email us for more information.
As you saw in the video, a trip is now described in terms of 7 event reports. There are some changes to the information you'll be asked for in the event reports. However, overall, there isn't a huge difference with what you've been reporting on paper returns. Essentially, catch information from 1 or 2 forms, CELR for example, that you used to fill in is now spread across 5 specific event reports. You'll also have to do a trip start and a trip end report, but these are quickly and easily reported at the push of a button. In terms of timings, the trip start and trip end report will be provided immediately at the push of a button. The 5 in the middle, which relate to your catch, generally have to be provided within a matter of hours or by the end of the day you finish an event. These new timings are obviously a very important part of what you need to learn, but they are clearly set out in lots of places in the charts and guides you'll be given. There is no need to provide a nil catch effort return anymore, so if you don't fish in any given month, you'll only have to do an MHR. You heard the words record, complete and provide several times in the video. Recording information simply means filling in the event report. Completing it means pressing a button that confirms the report is finished and authorised, and providing it means actually sending it to FishServe. I've mentioned this before, but it's worth saying again. Permit holders must make sure that all of their data is up to date in FishServe's system, because this data is crucial. If it's not correct, for example, you haven't authorised the correct people to complete and provide a report, you'll find that you can't provide event reports. All the crucial information you need to be able to carry out electronic reporting according to the law is covered in this flipbook, which will be freely available to all fishers. You can pick up a copy at your local fishery office or download a copy from fisheries.gov.nz/e-reporting. It's printed on sturdy, semi-waterproof paper so that you can keep it with you when you're fishing. It's going to be really important for you to spend time reading the flipbook because it contains summaries of all of the event report types and the details of when you must provide them, along with other useful hints and tips. It also walks you through how to fill in a fish catch report step by step. It does this for all fishing methods, and the intention is that you only keep the pages that apply to you. And once you're familiar with this new system, you probably won't even need to look at it anymore. We've put together some other guides to really help you in the early days, such as this day in the life poster. We suggest you put it up in your wheelhouse if you have one, or have it somewhere handy to help you become familiar with the new event reports. It shows the key parts of the whole reporting process from end to end in one diagram. There is also a briefer sticker version of the chart in your pack, which you could stick in your wheelhouse or somewhere handy, such as the back of your e-logbook. It just has the what to record information and what to do in the case of a device failure, and we'll talk about that important topic later. The flipbook is your best friend. We don't have time today to go into the myriad of fishing methods and variations for reporting each catch report here, but we have included everything you need to know in this flipbook. Get it, read it, take it to sea with you. Error messages are part and parcel of the digital world, and I'll try to be clear now when I talk about the 2 types you might receive. The first relates to the information you type into your e-logbook while you're out on a fishing trip. If you miss something off or it's really obviously wrong, the e-logbook won't let you provide an event report. You'll have to fix that in your e-logbook before you can successfully provide it to FishServe. The second type of error data is found to be incorrect after it's gone into the FishServe database, and these errors are fixed inside the FishServe portal. With that first type, what will happen is that an event report will be bounced back to you as soon as you try to provide it, and your e-logbook should show an error message to say what's wrong, like you've missed out a green weight estimate. Thinking about internet banking, if you don't put in a long enough account number, for example, it won't let you proceed with the payment. This is the same sort of thing. If you make an obvious mistake in your report, it won't let you submit it. In this example, imagine you have completed all other fields correctly, but have forgotten to add information in 2 fields of a form. The system tells you you've forgotten it by highlighting it in red in this case, but that will vary from device to device. You simply add in the correct information and suddenly the submit button becomes available. The crucial thing is that you need to make sure you provide reports within the timeframes set out in the regulations. So with this first type of error, you'll need to sort it out pretty much straight away. Once your report has been successfully provided to FishServe, their system will check it against a set of data rules and may flag particular issues. This is the second kind of error message you might get. You'll get an email about this type of error very quickly, but you have 15 days to sort it out, so you don't need to be worrying about correcting that information in the middle of the night, or the fact that you probably don't look at emails when you're at sea. The email will say something like, "Report not accepted," and the reason why, like one of the examples on screen. You will need to update the report with that missing or incorrect data and send it back to FishServe. This is basically the same as when FishServe used to send paper returns back because you'd missed something off the return or they couldn't read your writing. We'll talk about how you can do that in a moment because it involves getting into FishServe's online services portal. First though, we'll cover off what happens when your reporting devices don't work. Clearly, it's extremely important to know what you must do if your technology stops working, either before or after you've gone fishing. But although it'll take it a few minutes to explain the whole process, which might seem clunky and long-winded, it's actually been designed this way so that there's a strong chance you'll be able to keep fishing if something goes wrong with your tech. So bear with us, please. The first important point to make is that you should always check if your equipment is working before you start a trip. We cannot emphasize the importance of this enough. Then, if you discover that your catch or position equipment isn't working, you'll have to contact your tech provider first to see if they can fix the issue. If you expect you won't be able to meet your obligations under the regulations because of a device issue that the tech provider can't fix immediately, then you must contact MPI's National Communications Centre on 0800 00 83 33 to report the problem. You'll have to have a substantial amount of information available before you call, but most of this stuff you'll know off the top of your head. It's only once you get down to alternative methods that you need to be a bit more prepared. So, name of vessel operator and master and permit holder. Name of vessel and registration number. What date and time did you notice the device wasn't working properly? You know the answers to these questions. What is the issue with your GPR and or e-logbook? What is the make of the device? Has this occurred previously in the last 3 months? If so, how many times? Has your service provider been notified? How long has the service provider indicated it will take to fix the problem? Again, this is information you should already know. How long is your current trip? Where are you intending on fishing? And what species are you targeting? See, easy, you know the answers to these questions too. Do you have an alternative method of recording catch or position data? Well, let's have a chat about that one now. It is extremely important to stress that you must not start fishing until you have been granted a direction to fish, and it is not guaranteed you will be granted one when you call. As far as alternative means of recording are concerned, your tech provider might have something useful for you. Otherwise, paper versions of event reports can be downloaded from the forms section of the FishServe website, and you should keep spare copies of these forms with you when you fish as a backup in case you need them. These are basically business continuity plans. You can record your position data using a backup device, such as a smartphone app or your plotter. You can also enter the time, date, longitude and latitude into a spreadsheet that can be provided by MPI when we issue a direction, if this is more convenient for you. But remember, just because you have a backup plan in place doesn't mean you can use it without a direction from us. Any direction will be emailed to the email address held by FishServe, and you must meet all conditions of a direction if you wish to continue to fish. This includes providing all data electronically to MPI or FishServe when you return from the trip. A fisheries officer may contact you after you return to ensure that you are compliant with the direction. A full description of the processes for e-logbook and GPR device failure is included in the back of the electronic catch and position guidebook, and the main points are also on the sticker, so you'll be able to have them close to hand at all times. It is possible that there will be a problem with the device after you've already departed. Your obligation under the regulations is to let MPI know as soon as you become aware of the problem. It is okay for you to contact a third party, for example, your partner or an employee, by some means, for example, VHF radio, so that they can relay a message to MPI on your behalf. If they do this, they'll be asked the same list of questions I've mentioned just now in regards to getting a direction to continue to fish. This means you'll have to make sure that you have all of the answers to hand before they contact MPI on the 0800 number. This will also work if the problem occurs before departure. So, to go back to FishServe for a minute and wrap up this section. Doing electronic catch reporting also means you'll have to make some changes to the way you deal with paperwork relating to your fishing operation. Fisheries New Zealand and FishServe have prepared this leaflet to guide you through some of the new administrative processes that you'll need to know about once you're not doing paper returns anymore. For example, instead of updating a paper form with weight details provided on an LFR invoice and then sending the completed form to FishServe by mail, you'll now have to enter the weights directly into their online database. The process for registering yourself and other authorised people to access FishServe's portal is also explained in this leaflet. These are the people who can do the fix within 15 days types of errors. We've talked a lot so far about how you have to report, but most of that information will make more sense once you've actually seen what the eLogbook's GPR devices and reporting software looks like. We recommend you visit fisheries.gov.nz/e-reporting to find out what technology options are available and get in touch with providers for a demonstration of their equipment. Fisheries New Zealand has also developed a technology solutions guide that highlights the key questions you need to ask yourself about your fishing operation, as well as the questions to ask the technology providers when you speak to them. You should take a look at it when you're considering your options, and it will really help you settle on a solution that best suits your situation. It's available online at fisheries.gov.nz/e-reporting. So what's all this going to cost? Right now, a number of providers are finalising their products and prices, so we don't have a definitive answer for you about costs today. It's also highly likely that things will change in the coming weeks and months. So unless you're in stages 1 or 2, you can probably hold off making any purchasing decisions right away and really take the time to think about your options. But I do encourage you to have a chat to them about both the upfront costs and the ongoing costs when you talk to them. What we do know from our own research is that prices are trending down and there are some significant myths about the costs of transmission out there. And we're confident that these myths will be busted by the technology providers over the coming month or two while they finalise their offerings. We understand that commercial fishers' knowledge is important and valuable, and electronic catch and position reporting means that you'll be providing more detailed information on what you catch and where you catch it. We also know that this is a major concern for some fishers. An important part of this talk is reassuring you that the government has mechanisms in place to protect your data, and the next couple of slides might bust some myths around how we deal with information collected through electronic catch and position reporting. We'll keep it as short as possible because we've put together this guide to outline the ways you can safeguard your valuable information and the steps Fisheries New Zealand takes to protect your private and commercially sensitive information you provide. The overall message here is that there are things that both you as a fisher and MPI as the regulator can and should do to protect your data. From the point of view of what you can do, it might first help to understand the path your data will take. With electronic position reporting, the information goes directly from your tech provider to MPI. And with electronic catch reporting, the information you provide is sent securely from your eLogbook to FishServe, which receives it on behalf of the Ministry for Primary Industries. When it comes to keeping data safe, it's a good idea to think about electronic reporting in the same way you would any other important online activity, like internet banking. Again, the guide gives you some hints and tips about this, and it will be especially useful to read this if you haven't done much in the way of online activities before. You should also ask technology providers about their security and privacy solutions too, and our guide highlights some of the questions you can ask. The guide is available online. We take security seriously and have well-tested systems in place to protect private and commercially sensitive information collected through electronic catch and position reporting. We've reviewed and updated our controls too to be sure that we've got the right ones in place now that this reporting change is happening, and we'll continue to review our security and privacy policies and procedures regularly to make sure that they are always fit for purpose. We've also updated our guidelines for the release of any information that happens as a result of our obligations under the Official Information Act and the Privacy Act. If we do have to release information, we take steps to protect your data. For example, we may limit location data to 1 degree of accuracy, limit date and time data to month and year, and exclude information that could be used to identify any vessel, person or company. Of course, all information held by Fisheries New Zealand is official information and any New Zealander can request to see it, but all OIA requests are considered on a case-by-case basis, and we seek to protect commercial and private information received from fishers even as we balance the public interest. Again, there's more information on that in this leaflet. At the beginning of the session today, it was highlighted that one benefit of having better quality information more readily is that it will allow us to be more focused and responsive in our compliance efforts. However, in essence, the way compliance works will not change dramatically. As before, everything we do is based around the relevant legislation, but we understand that bringing in new legislation is always a challenge. The new regulations do create new infringements, which largely relate to when reports must be completed and provided, so it's very important that you become very familiar with those timeframes in particular. These are highlighted in our electronic catch and position reporting guide, along with a lot of other useful information that is available to you today or later on the MPI website. Our goal as MPI officers is to help you make the transition to operating under the new rules around event reports as smooth as possible. So we will continue to use the graduated intervention model that we've always used where appropriate. The critical thing for you to understand is that good communication is essential if you think you have an issue that might prevent you from reporting as required. You need to get in touch with MPI through the NCC on the number shown on this slide as soon as possible if you think that there is an issue. They will make an assessment and help you start working through the process to avoid breaching your obligations and potentially incurring a penalty. This might include putting you through to the local fishery office if the issue is not related to equipment malfunction. Being compliant with electronic catch and position reporting is a good way to see less fishery officers contact for those reporting issues in future. Making sensible choices will help too. For example, if you choose to buy a device that only works on the cellular network, even though you know you'll be consistently fishing outside cellular range, then that's not going to be an excuse for sending in your reports late. It's already been explained that there's guidance to help you with this sort of thing, so take advantage of the opportunity to talk to tech providers and MPI staff and help you get prepared as best as possible. The main thing to point out about the way compliance works is that we have steps in place to help you stay compliant if you have an issue. It's the same process we've always used, it's just now we have slightly different considerations because of the new technology that you'll be using and the tighter reporting timeframes involved. And targeted and random checks will continue to be a part of the way we work. It's really important to point out that our intervention model is not rigid. Every compliance issue is always considered on a case-by-case basis, which is why, again, it is so important that you communicate with us immediately if you think you're going to need help to comply. If you take all reasonable steps to be compliant and keep us in the loop, it will be better for everyone. There are lots of resources available to help you make the switch from paper to electronic reporting. FishServe is always on hand to ask questions about registering devices and how to report electronically, and we've developed various resources discussed in this workshop. They're all available on our website. The digital monitoring web pages are on the Fisheries New Zealand website and can be found at fisheries.govt.nz/e-reporting. This is where you'll find the video you watched earlier and another that gives more information of the digital monitoring program. You'll also find links to download leaflets discussed today and to the Day in the Life and Landing Codes posters, which are also available in Te Reo Maori, as are the two videos. FishServe also has a wealth of information on their website, fishserve.co.nz, and they should be the first place to go for help with event reports. Regional fishery officers will also keep copies of the information we've discussed today, and email inquiries can be sent to digitalmonitoring@mpi.govt.nz.